Several years ago, a mom named Amy Chua wrote a book called The Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother. And it was her very honest and candid description of how she raised her daughters. She raised them to be perfectionists, to do well, to get all A's, to become classical pianists, to excel in everything they did. And the book was praised by some and criticized by others because everybody has their own way of raising kids. And I think the most important thing, whether you're a tiger mom, whether you're a helicopter parent, whether you're lenient, is recognize the individuality of each child that God has given you the benefit and grace to raise. So, teach them values if you can, and for values, look to other people who've done things that you think are really good, decent, and enhance life for all of us. So, when I was raising my daughter Kendrick, I noticed very quickly that she was one of the most physically courageous people I'd ever met. She was on the bus coming home from kindergarten, and the bus stopped, and normally Kendrick would get off the bus with her friend Brooke. Well, this day, the bus stopped, and nobody got off the bus. And I was looking at the bus, and my husband was there with me, and we were looking, and we were saying, "Where's Kendrick?" And suddenly I see this small body rocketing from the back of the bus up to the front of the bus, and my daughter, age 5, comes shooting off the bus, dragging her best friend Brooke with her. I'm thinking, what the heck was going on? Well, what was going on was a bunch of little boys on the bus had stolen Brooke's necklace, and they were playing keep away the whole ride from the school to our neighborhood. Kendrick ran to the back of the bus seconds after the bus stopped, grabbed Brooke's necklace, and handed it off to Brooke, dragging Brooke at fast speed off the bus with her. That is inherent. I didn't teach her that. I tried to teach her other values, but I never had to teach her to stick up for people who need to be helped and stand up to bullies. That was all her. Things I did try to teach her: courage, decency, examples from people I was lucky enough to know, like Irene Bobich, who as an African American in Loudoun County's finance department decided to say no to a white supervisor who wanted to be reimbursed by the county for a personal dinner. And Irene Bobich, whose mom had cooked food in the jail and who lived in the house her parents had built in Leesburg, Irene Bobich said no, she wasn't going to sign off on it. And Irene's boss came and tried to pressure her into signing off on this, and Irene said no. And she never would, no matter what kind of pressure you put on her, she never would do something she thought was dishonest. So Irene Bobich became Kendrick's honorary godmother because Irene Bobich embodied the values I wanted my daughter to learn. Now, pay attention to your kids. Some of them are going to need you to be more easygoing. Some will go along with your being strict. I was a pretty strict mom with Kendrick because Kendrick was a very competitive person. She always wanted to excel. She wanted to be number one. It really bugged her if she wasn't. So I sat down and we had this conversation not long ago. She's now 21. And she said, "Mom, you were so hard on me, but I now know why you were." And I said to her, "Well, sweetie, If you hadn't been so competitive and wanted to win so much, I probably would have been a lot easier on you. But I thought to myself, when you were trying to be number one, okay, I can help you in that. It's not going to be fun, it's not going to be easy, but we can do that together. And so every day after class, Kendrick would come home from elementary school or middle school, and we would spend about 2 to 3 hours every single day going over homework and talking about things that mattered to her. Because another thing you have to recognize about your children is you need to show them respect. You can show them discipline, and you should, but you really need to let them know that you respect them as human beings and individuals, and you need to pay attention. I used to think, and I've done a lot of things in life. I've been in the Navy, so go Navy! I've worked at the CIA as a Soviet naval analyst. I've been an attorney, I've been a mayor, I'm on the board of supervisors in the county. None of those things compared. I've been through law school. None of those compared in the amount of thought I had to put into anything. None of them compared to being a mom. So you have to think all the time when you're a mom, because you have to think, okay, this is my unique child, and how will my child react if I'm too harsh or if I'm too lenient? What can I do to make my child resilient so that if she fails, as she will at some point, as you guys have heard earlier tonight, she'll get back up on her feet and keep going forward. I listened to Dolores Huerta, one of the founders of the Women's March, a couple nights ago, and she said, the only time you lose is when you give up. So being tenacious and trying to allow your child to be tenacious is very important. It was always important to me, never belittle my child. I might discipline her, and I always did so with respect, and I never belittled her. I never made fun of her. I never tried to make her feel small, because I wanted her to one day be independent. I also encouraged her, because she was good at math, to pursue mathematics. And I knew this was going to take some time on my part, because I had forgotten all my math from high school. So every single summer, while she was going through elementary school and middle school and into high school, I spent the summer learning whichever math topic they were going to teach the next year. Oh, man. But it was worth it, because if she needed help, I was there to help her. Then we got into computer science, and I listened to all the technologically advanced people in Loudoun County, and there are a whole bunch of them, and I'm not, but they're out there. And I listened to them and what they were doing with their kids, and I would hear, okay, my son's 12 and he already knows how to code in Java. And I was thinking, okay, we're going to have to learn how to code. So I got Python for Dummies, and I got Java for Dummies, and JavaScript for Dummies, and we started learning those coding languages. And that kind of paid off, because she got an internship after her senior year of high school with Noldus Information Technology. And she ended up in 2 summers at Noldus learning Python and learning how to rework some of their software. And she knew how to integrate software and hardware because she'd experienced that in a robotics class in high school. It takes a lot of communication between the hardware people and the software people, because if things go wrong, each side wants to blame the other. So listening to the technologically advanced friends I had, I learned that being able to bring those 2 sides together is a fundamental talent in the technological world we're in. So she did that. Then she went to work for the social robotics lab at Yale when she went to college. And she worked on creating a robot that could work with children who have different levels of autism, who may not be comfortable talking to an adult, perhaps. And that she was able to turn that technologically oriented brain of hers towards helping people who needed a little bit of extra help. So I was very proud of her for that. Then she got an internship at Google, and she was out in Seattle last summer, and I went out to visit her twice, and there she was working on a chatbot, so a little bit similar to Alexa or Siri or Hey Google, and trying to make sure that technology worked well. So she was in machine learning and artificial intelligence. And then this summer, she's back out with Google in San Francisco, and she's working on Google Earth. And we talk about trying to coordinate different elements, and this is why you heard earlier about the importance of diversity. It is critically important to have diversity in technology. For example, if it hadn't been for a woman engineer, airbags would have continued to be built so that they slammed women in the face, but men survived because they were slightly taller. So you need these different views. You need to know how a Latino community might react to technology, or a South Asian community might react. So you need all these different players in this development of software and hardware. And we were talking about the need to bring more local government knowledge of the inefficiencies of local government into autonomous vehicle production and design. Because Google's working on an autonomous vehicle, Uber's working on it, Tesla's working on it, and there are others. But some of the initial prototypes were built with the assumption, false, that local governments would always have their streets striped, that there wouldn't be dust storms, that there wouldn't be pouring rain like what some of us had to drive through tonight to get here. And all of these conditions have to be viewed through, I think, real-life experience. And you're not just going to get it if you're sitting at a keyboard coding. You're going to have to get out there and live life as different people live it. So when it comes to raising a child, respect them. That's one of the biggest things I could say. I think it's almost as important as loving them. Tell them you love them every day, multiple times a day. If they need hugs and you weren't raised in a huggy family, learn how to give your child a genuine hug and give them hugs when they need them and sometimes when they don't. Teach them values, teach them to stand up to bullies and to protect those who are vulnerable. And teach them to know that they can teach themselves anything. Thank you so much.